Hey everyone, welcome to the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast, sponsored by WynnBET. That's WYNNBET bet. We thank them for that sponsorship. If you can please rate or review the podcast, that also goes a long way towards helping us out. We are available on all your normal places you listen to podcasts. We're also live. We are on StreamYard. We are on YouTube. We're on Facebook Live. Everywhere you may listen to your live streams, we're there also. So welcome aboard. If you happen to be listening live, if you want to jump in and make some comments, please do the same. Also, I am Scott Jenstad, joined as always on Sunday nights by Jeff Erickson. Jeff, how are you tonight?
I'm doing well, Scott. Although a little melancholy because it was a tough week for FAAB betting. Tough week to try to recover from a lot of injuries on some teams. A couple of really good teams that had like 8 injuries in one night or in 1 week, and that meant like 3 dead spots for the weekend in some Nfbc leagues, and that's always tough to recover from. But then it means you also have to make some tough cuts. But we were talking about that in Twitter threads this week. That's part of the game.
It is, and it's funny. I was doing as we get to the news and notes, I was doing I wonder how many injuries there were. I'm flipping through. I'm like, wow, there really were a lot of guys that were banged up or went in the IL or got hurt. It was it's tough, and it's weird. It was a weird FAAB week where I didn't really think there was a ton of guys I really wanted to attack. There are a few we talked about, but when you get injuries, you got to find some fill-ins. I'm looking for pitching. It's funny, Jeff. In my main events, I drafted offense really, really well. I have a lot of points in offense, and my pitching is horrendous. And most of that's thanks to Luis Castillo. A little bit thanks to Freddie Peralta pitching 4 2/3 today. But when your ace has an ERA over 7.7, we're about to hit June. It's tough to combat that, but I'm gonna have to find a way. But it's been rough.
Yeah, and some of my melancholy strikes from self-induced errors, like hey, picking up John Lester and starting him. Oh, hey. I did. We came up with that one.
I tried to talk you out of that after you picked him up. That was not very helpful of me. I apologize.
Well, I could have still not started him, but alas, and here's the worst part. I also had Griffin Canning going in that league too, and both have since been cut. But and with authority, by the way, with a little bit of I really can't wait to get rid of you, but
it's a good feeling. It's a good feeling sometimes, especially someone like John Lester, who bad human being, and he didn't pitch well, so it's perfect.
Bad human being, only because of the A's factor there again.
I'm fully kidding to any John Lester fan. I'm just kidding about the A's from last week. But
right. Don't get blocked by somebody else on Twitter, by the way. Come on.
I'm trying. I feel bad. It's only Brett Anderson, but that's all right. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about Week 9 before we get into our FAAB pickups. Looks like we have a big week this week. We have 13 teams that play 7 games. We do have 3 teams that play 5 games. The Atlanta, Boston, and Houston have 5-game slate. So if you get some players from that team, make sure that you look at that and figure out if you want to start your guys there. Jeff, so there is an early Monday game. We have Toronto and Tampa Bay tomorrow on the early side. So if you play in a league that locks your whole lineup, I hope that's not the case anymore with any leagues anywhere. But if you do, there's an early game. It's 10:07 Pacific time out here in California. So that's gonna be an early one. Nothing like having one of my pitchers going in a 10 in the morning game. That should be fun.
It's funny that we're like almost sharing a brain, because that was literally going to be the next thing I said. Was like, make sure you set your lineups early. Not about your pitcher. I don't care about your pitcher unless it's my pitcher too. Yeah. But
it might be actually.
Who is it?
Ryan Yarbrough.
No. Well, maybe he might have actually been a cut in one of my 12s. Because
not a bad call. I think I cut him in 12 too. I think I might have him in a 15 still.
Yeah, under the premise of can't use him in a 2-stepper, then you can't use him. I did cut him. The real problem is
he's been scheduled to pitch 2 starts the last 2 weeks, and they move guys around, and then he piggybacks, and it's just finding out when he's actually going to pitch has been difficult the last couple of weeks.
It sure has, and I kind of in the mindset there of I don't want to deal with that. Plus, Ryan Yarbrough versus a righty-heavy lineup like Toronto, I don't really want to deal with that at all.
Yeah, I haven't actually decided if I'm going to start him yet. In a 15-teamer, I probably will, because it's going to be 2 starts. But going against that righty lineup, like you said, that does not make me overly fired up to watch that game for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm looking forward to seeing it just because I like watching Toronto play.
They're so fun to watch. I love that team.
Teoscar. Give me Teoscar all the time.
We're gonna talk about Teoscar later. That dude's awesome. I love that guy.
Yeah, I do too. And I love. How can you not love Vladdy? How can you not love Bo Bichette? Just so many fun guys. But you're right. A lot of games on Monday too. Just period. Last week I think we had like 6 games, and one of them was rained out. That's not going to be an issue tomorrow. We're going to have plenty of games for us to watch. I always like that.
I do too. It looks like we got 8 games tomorrow, so it's definitely No, it's a good chunk there. We got a lot of interesting pitchers pitching too. So it'll be I think you might know a little bit about your week all of a sudden on Monday, which can be a good thing or a bad thing. But some good schedules this week. I like the A's schedule this week. They coming off beating the Angels 2 out of 3. Should have won today, but kind of blew that game. But they have 7 home games this week. They play Seattle and the Angels. Those are two staffs that I liked my offense against. So you throw 7 games out there. It's a good week. If you have some fringy A's, some Seth Brown, some Chad Pinder, this is a good week to throw those guys out there.
Yeah, 7 home games too. You got to like that. The Troutless Angels, because Trout would just devour the A's, but nice not to have that. Good week to try. If you're on the fence about someone like Cole Irvin, well, this is a good week for him. James Caprillion, I know we're going to talk about him a little bit later, but we did talk a little bit about him last week.
Yeah, we talked about him last week. I mean, there are a lot of people picked him up this week in 12. We talked about picking up him last week in 15. He looked good against the Angels. I know they skipped him to kind of keep everybody on schedule, and they threw him. He looked really good. That's his. He said he had a couple hundred fans there. It's a hometown game. He's from Southern California. Yep. 9 strikeouts, and I don't know. His stuff is a little bit better than I thought it was going to be, actually.
Yeah, 15 Ks in 10 innings. He was, it took him a long time to get to the majors, but he's always been a prospect.
Yeah, and injuries just have killed him so far. And I just really hope he stays healthy because it's I like his makeup too. Like he puts a couple guys on, he kind of bears down a little bit. I think he has a little bit of that you can't quantify bulldog kind of thing when he puts guys on base. He really seems to hone in. Obviously, it's been 2 starts, so we don't know that fully, but I don't know. I like what I've seen so far.
Moxie. I like it too.
I like it.
Yeah. 15 Ks in 10 innings. We'll take that. I just wanted to go a little deeper. That's my next request.
Yeah, I agree there. Also, the White Sox have a good schedule. I like that this week. They have 7 games, 3 against St. Louis, and then a lovely home 4 against Baltimore, which is always nice.
Yeah, it is. Baltimore can hurt you sometimes, just offensively a little bit there. They got to Patrick Corbin early today. Of course, they gave it right back because it was Matt Harvey Day, which means everybody gets ahead. But it was fun. It was they're kind of fun at the top. I mean, Trey Mancini's quietly having a pretty good year.
Yes.
I think I like Austin Hayes a little bit. I like some of their young hitters are fun. I mean, I like them more when they start bringing up some of their prospects too.
Yeah, for sure. But like, if you look at White Sox hitters, I mean, they get they do face Means, but you get Zimmerman, Harvey, Kramer. They get Matt Shoemaker on Monday. It should be a good week of offense for the White Sox hitters.
Yeah, Andrew Vaughn with the big home run today, hitting that ball. Aroldis Chapman is human after all. Drago bleeds, we don't get a triple play every day to end games. Sometimes you go up a run. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that was pretty. Not a Yankees fan, but that was pretty awesome.
Yeah, well, it's funny. Vaughn was the hitter in both of those situations.
That's right.
So yeah, good for Vaughn. And it's the last 2 weeks we've really started to see that power emerge. It's funny what happens when you don't get jerked around. You play every day. Good things happen.
Yeah, no, we didn't play today, right? He pinch hit that home run, right?
You're probably right about that. I didn't even think about it. I just remember seeing him, hit the homer.
Yeah,
I didn't realize he was actually out of starting lineup.
He pinch hit for Adam Eaton. Obviously, Adam Eaton's not going to face Chapman, so that was a good call right there. Some other good schedules. Some of the 6 gamers are interesting too. I really like the Cubs schedule. They are 3 at Pittsburgh, which is just a smorgasbord of doing everything good right now. Pittsburgh is truly terrible. And then 3 against your Reds. They miss Sonny Gray.
Our Reds, Scott.
On Luis Castillo days, it's your Reds. On non-Luis Castillo days, it's our Reds.
Yeah, and I just thought it was a reflection of losing 6 out of 7 this week on the homestand that you were just jumping off that bandwagon.
It's not what you want to do at home is go 1-6. It was a rough week for the Reds for sure.
It was.
And then the Yankees have a good schedule for the hitters. Also, they're 3 Toronto, then 3 at Detroit. If you have any Yankees hitters they're kind of fringy. Clint Frazier today, 3 hits and 2 stolen bases. I don't know where the heck that came from. That's impressive.
Yeah, came back from a couple days injury, and seemed renewed. I don't know. Maybe it was just the opposing pitcher. Maybe it was Dallas. I can't strike anybody out, Keuchel, and that had something to do with it. Or maybe it was just that he. Hey, again, let's plug them in and leave them alone. Can we ask for these things?
You can, but I guess they got Miguel Andujar out there now. But I mean, you figure if you can't play when Stanton's out and you get that extra spot in the lineup, I mean, Gleyber Torres is back now, but I don't know. It's I feel like Frazier really had his chance to solidify himself, but then he didn't take advantage of the first 6 weeks. I mean, they were playing him almost every day. and he hasn't really he hasn't really kicked down that door for the playing time right now.
No, he hasn't. And I was one of his proponents. I kind of even dismissed the concern about Gardner. Even I knew it was there, but I was like, come on, he was hitting that in the middle of the lineup last year. Well, it's because Stanton and Judge were out most of the year.
Yeah.
He's been terrible. I mean, he really has been terrible. That's all you can say.
And it's just, I mean, it's a long season. It's funny. We get to the point in the quarter of the way through and we almost be at the end of last season. So it's, I think everybody's finally adjusting the fact you see it a little bit in the free agent bidding. I think people spent a ton that first month. And now everybody's realizing that, I have $350 left. I have to budget this for the next 18 weeks of the season, not the next 4 weeks of the season. So it's, I think we're starting to see everybody kind of settle in for a little bit for a long summer of baseball, which is a very good thing.
Yeah, I'd agree. I'd agree with that. And, and the thing is, you have to adjust your starter bids. You have to, your streaming hitter bids. You have to adjust everything downward a little bit. Yep. And just remember that you got to have something left in September.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's just that, there's a 2-set pitcher. I'm going to throw $37 on him. Was easy last year, but that's going to come back quickly this year. So that's a good segue into FAAB. Wasn't a huge oh my gosh, this guy's going to get $300 a bid week, but a lot of interesting players. First guy I want to talk to you about is Spencer Howard in Philadelphia. Struggled upon his 2020 call up this year. Has been mostly in relief, but they're kind of working him back up, trying to stretch him back out to start because they need him in the rotation. He started against Boston, threw 3 innings, gave up 1 hit, 4 walks though. Kind of jumps off the page. It's that's kind of gross. But 5 strikeouts also jumps off the page. Walks really haven't been a concern in the majors, but in the minors, he was a pretty good walk guy in 2018 and 2019. Was really good in his innings in 2019 in A and Double A, and then in 2018 in A ball he threw 112 innings, 3.7 ERA. He's a big prospect for them. How do you feel about Howard going forward? It felt to me like he was maybe a guy that we don't know we're going to get, but he's got some upside in there somewhere.
Yeah, that's right. It's so funny. In one main event, I got him for $1. And in another main event, I think he went for a little bit more. I saw some, he went for 16 in the other. I saw some pretty wildly variant results on him. He gets Miami. That's the critical aspect of that too. And we're just, you're hoping to get 5 innings out of it. That's all you're really hoping.
That was the goals. I was trying to think, can he get 5? And I bid him in both my main events, and I actually got outbid. I saw him going for some low prices, but he was pretty popular in both of my leagues. Yeah.
And that's, I think this week in particular was really difficult because this was a bid for need sort of week. In one league, I had, 7 hitters hurt. I had to make some tough cuts. I couldn't field a lineup this weekend in one of them there, and in both of them really actually over the weekend. So had to make some tough calls. Any really tough cuts? Any guys you're really regretting dropping? Well, I like Brandon Nimmo a lot. But that is a tough one. That's a tough one. Yeah. Griffin Canning kind of was someone I liked, but that's not as tough, I suppose. But Nimmo was tough because I have him in a lot of places too. And Jason, is that a 12 or a 15? These are 15s. Okay. And at 12, it's a hard. Yeah. At 12, it's not a hard cut. That's a tough cut. That's a tough cut in a 15 because that somebody comes back could be pretty valuable. Yeah, but you're seeing, just look at every league. You're going to see that there. We're not the only ones. Someone who had Aaron Hicks has probably got to cut him. Yeah, Luis Urias has got to be a cut. And there's some that are Huascar Ynoa is going to be gone too long, so he's a cut. Yeah. Elvis Andrus is terrible, and that's probably a righteous cut. Stephen Piscotty's been quietly terrible. He was a cut. Quietly not playing very much either. Yeah. Yandy Diaz, hitting for average, but nothing else was a cut in one of my mains. Yeah. You just have to make these tough decisions. It's the healthy cuts are the interesting ones. When you have to cut the hurt guys, that's okay. You get that. You understand why, but really kind of came down to some tough ones. Can you stash that reliever that isn't closing yet that might? I was about to say my tough cuts this week were figuring out these guys that I'm kind of stashing as relievers, and you can't use them. They're on my bench. I need those bench spots. Guys like Lucas Sims, Amir Garrett, Alex Colomé. I'm trying to figure out. I was talking to Rob Silver. We're talking about cuts, and he's like, "Well, you don't get your draft pick back just because if you hold on to them longer." And I was like, it's true. It's hard. It's easy to say that and give that advice, but it's hard when you took him in the 12th round to just cut him. And but he's got like 2 guys ahead of him now. He's probably behind Rodgers and Hansel Robles now. So it's tough. And Lucas Sims,
you hope he has great outings because maybe he can build his way up and he gives up 3 runs. And you just kind of feel him slip back down the ladder. You see him pitch twice in the 6th inning. I like Sims, but I finally cut him this week in the main event.
I don't blame you. I think he's a cut too, unfortunately.
It'd be nice if the Reds had some save ops every once in a while so I could kind of figure out what was going on, but it seems to not happen either.
Right. TJ Antone called himself a mid-inning closer in an article today too, so that was fun to see. But there's no one there. Yeah, Colomé I think was a cut. I think for sure he was a cut. I held on to Garrett. I talked Shu out of cutting Garrett. Instead, we got rid of Griffin Canning. I see more of an upside. Garrett's actually pitched well. That's the difference too. And Sims has struggled. Garrett has actually pitched well lately. And also our other issue is we have Jake McGee, we have Minnesota Hansel Robles, who did get a save for us this week, but blew one today. But the fact is, he's getting the save chance.
He got a win today out of that too. It's always a nice little side effect. If you're going to blow it, at least get the win on the backside.
Yeah, but here's a bit of advice: don't walk the leadoff hitter when you're trying to protect a 1-run lead. He gave up an infield signal but his first and second and Jose Ramirez up. I'm like, oh. What could go right here? Yeah, right. You got Ramirez flew out deep, like on the warning track. It was a barrel. Got out of that, and then they scored on a suicide squeeze right after that. Oh, all right. So it was a weird inning. It wasn't like he did give up a rocket, but the one rocket he gave up was an out, which was kind of wild.
Yeah, I held Colomé one more week. I think it's a cut for me soon, but I was gonna see when Robles blew that. I figured I was gonna hold one more week, but I think he's just too far down that track, and I think I'm holding on for poor reasons. But next thing I want to ask you about is someone we talked about 3 weeks ago. It did not go well. It's now on Twitter. If you get Gomber, it means you got lit up in your start. Austin Gomber is back. He has a 2-start week this week, and the matchups are fantastic. He's on the road, which is obviously good for a Rockies pitcher, but he's at the Mets, and they have pretty much no players left. Pete Alonso went on the IL. You mentioned Nimmo. Half their team is hurt right now. Then at Pittsburgh, you can't draw that one up much better, and he's been pretty good lately since that start where he gave up the 37 runs to the Giants in the first inning. 22 and a third, 24 strikeouts, 3 walks, 8 earned runs. So the ERA is good. Pretty good, mid to high 3s, but 24 to 3 K to walk. Did you go back in anywhere on Gomber, or are you too scarred like I am?
I'm not scarred. I didn't have him.
That's easy then. That makes it nice.
Yeah, he was actually held in at least one of them. It's the funny thing is, after the Gombering, he actually won his next start in the second start of that 2-step against Arizona.
Yeah, he beat Arizona.
The upside's kind of limited. But I like that he pitched well against San Diego twice in a row. Now, granted, I don't think that was the San Diego at full capacity lineup there. So
that was probably Tatis COVID, right?
Yeah, and then they're missing like 5 guys. So I was a little circumspect. I don't think I targeted him in 12s, and I don't think he was available in 15s. I have to double check on that. But no, I did not get him. It wasn't like I was like running from the hills from him either, but he just wasn't a priority.
I actually bid on him in both my main events. I tried to do what happened in the past does not affect to do it, but I actually just didn't get him. I got outbid on him. Dave Potts picked him up for $44 in one of mine, so just outbid me on him. I was the backup bid there, and then he went for 47 in my other one. So it was more of a fact that I had bids on him, but people liked him more than I did.
Yeah, and I just double checked. He wasn't available in either of my leagues.
Wow, the key is that I had him in both my leagues, so I spike cut him as soon as I could, just because I was upset. Yeah. So you probably have people who are a little more rational than I am in your leagues. That's good. Tarek Skubal was available in some 12s, hyped prospect, but he has struggled upon both columns. He was 38 innings so far this year, 5.5 ERA. He was a 5.6 ERA guy, but only in 32 innings last year when the Tigers called him up. It's weird. You look at the K rate's down. It's down to 23%. The walk rate's up a little bit to 11%. He was great in the minors. He had a big K rate. It just hasn't really translated yet. We see that with a lot of pitchers. It's going to come at some point probably, but you can't. It's hard in fantasy. We're playing talking redraft here. It's hard to wait on that and put him in the lineup when you're waiting on it. Been a little bit better lately. 16 innings his last 3 starts, 22 strikeouts. So he hasn't been punching out a few more guys, but 8 earned runs in that stretch. So puts him about at a 4.5 ERA. Is Skubal someone that you like going coming the next few months, or someone you're staying away from?
Someone I'm staying away from. He's given up 12 homers so far. That's a lot. And including in his last 5 outings, he's given up 8. including his one good start against Seattle. I mean, if a good start happens against Seattle, does it count? Does it make a sound? I don't think so. I'll prove me wrong on this one. And I don't like one of the starts is against the Yankees too. And he does get a Framber free Cleveland start. But
that's a brutal injury for that lineup. That lineup was kind of gross anyway, and now it's like J-Ram and nobody. It's rough.
Yeah, J Happ had like 9 Ks today, and he's J Happ. So yeah, I don't want any. This is now a target to stream against. They were already kind of on the borderline anyhow.
Right.
Although was it? Oh no, I think it was. Was it? Yeah, it was Saturday. That was kind of a high scoring game. The game that Framber got hurt.
Yeah.
Friday was the other way around. Minnesota scored like 10 runs, right?
Yeah, I think that was right. But you look at this lineup, and it's essentially Cesar Hernandez, Eddie Rosario, and Jose Ramirez, and then kind of just death the rest of the way. Like it's just, you got Josh Naylor, who is fine. Luplow can hit lefties. Jake Bowers is horrendous. Ahmed Rosario coming on a little bit, but there is nothing there, and I don't even know what's coming. It's suddenly. You take Franmil out of the middle of that lineup, it really just leaves a huge hole.
Yeah, they called up this kid Owen Miller, who is a prospect in like the high 100s in James Anderson's ranking list. There, but it's just makes me want to use a throw mama from the train reference there, but I won't. But obscure, do you know that movie at all?
I do know that movie. When he yells Owen, it's the most annoying thing ever.
Owen doesn't have any friends. That's what I wanted to say. So I just did it there. But
I just remember her yelling Owen as loud as possible, and it just drove me crazy.
Yeah. Fine cinematic classic.
Owen Miller, 130 games in Double A in 2019, 13 home runs, 5 stolen bases. Yeah, could be all right, but I don't know if he's coming to save the franchise. But it
was crushing it in Triple A at least. So
he was. He's in 406, the nice 500 BABIP. That's nice.
Yeah.
So Randy Dobnak, speaking of the Twins, you mentioned the Twins earlier. He lost the rotation spot in spring training kind of to Twitter loves him. So there was a lot of people that were upset about that. Pitched in relief, then went down to the minors, made 3 starts and came back as a starter. Pitched really well against Cleveland with Franmil on Friday. 0 earned runs, 5 strikeouts in 6 innings. Are you one of the people that loves Randy Dobnak too? How'd you feel about this? He was available pretty much everywhere this week.
I had him a lot last year, and
I did too. I think we talked about him a bunch last year.
Yeah, so that kind of cured me of my love for him. I think he's, hey, great story. Seems like a great guy.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean I have to roster him. I like strikeouts, and he doesn't do that.
He doesn't do that. He gets a lot of ground balls, so you hopefully may limit big innings. He was 62% ground ball last year, 55% so far this year. He was okay last year, 4.05 ERA, but you mentioned the strikeouts, 13.5% K rate last year. Like that just – it's hard. I guess in a 2-start week, you get enough, and maybe you hope he pitches well, and the Twins' offense is starting to warm up a little bit. But, yeah, the lack of strikeouts kind of made me a little bit less fired up. I did get him in one of my 2 main events. He was kind of my 3rd or 4th conditional. I ended up with him. And the other one, he went for $67, so I missed him there. But I got him for like 10 or 12 bucks, I think, in my other one. So, I'll kind of play matchups. I think he gets Kansas City this week. I'll probably throw that and kind of play it by ear, whether week by week, whether I hold him or not. But I think he's kind of a fill-in guy that probably won't kill you, but won't not going to win your league either.
Yeah, it's 2 good starts the next 2 weeks. Well, kind of 1.5 at Baltimore could be a little dicey for a pitch to contact guy.
Yeah, that's fair. Definitely, you hope that Minnesota scores a bunch of runs and he gets out after 5 innings, but that's never a fun way to watch either. Yeah. But Chris Bubich.
I say Bubich. But I should look that up, and I will while we're talking. So carry on.
Yeah, that was one. I actually watched some of that game, and I forget how they were saying it. But he pitched today. He pitched 5 innings, gave up 6 hits, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts, 2 earned runs. But he's been good so far. He's been really good. Low ERA, 20% K rate. The walks a little bit high at 13%. As I looked at him, I didn't really get a lot fired up. I kind of figured maybe I've missed his best starts. He was a 4.3 ERA guy last year in 50 innings. He had a 191 BABIP going today, a 50 or 89% strand rate. So he's getting a little bit of fortune there. But he's a good ground ball guy. He was 53.1%, I think, after the start today. Were you in on him at all off the early good start?
He was in my list of bids, but wasn't someone that I was really going hard at. Again, I want some strikeouts. I feel like Kansas City, the shine is off them a little bit right now. They or they had the nice little walk off today. But at the same time, I wasn't big time into him to begin with, so I kind of remained not big time into him.
So speaking of guys who pitched well today, Cody Poteet for the Marlins pitched really well. 7 shutout innings, 3 hits, 4 strikeouts, no walks. Has now made 3 starts for the Marlins. ERA of 1.06, 17 innings, 13 Ks, only 2 walks. So not a ton of Ks, but the walks have been really good. Really low strikeout numbers in the minors. I kind of went back and looked 2019 AA and AAA. The strikeouts were really low. Kind of got me less fired up about him. And he just pitched 2 starts last week, and he faces Boston this week. Kind of took me off him just based on the fact that I couldn't throw him this week. It'd probably be a while before he's going to get a 2-start week.
I agree. I don't even know if I put him in my conditionals just because he's facing the Red Sox, and he just finished facing the mutilated corpse of the Mets lineup. So I'm not really that excited. By the way, Bubic. It is Bubic.
Bubic. All right, cool. And so he's at Boston, and then he might lose his rotation spot after that. Eliezer Hernandez may come back and pitch the next week. So I kind of looked it through, and they could go with him or they could stick with Holloway. But it seems like maybe another guy that I think we missed it. We probably just missed his best week of the season just this last week.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, prove me wrong again. I'm happy to be wrong because then it would be a great story. But
the Marlins have had some good fun stories. They're actually they're a much more watchable team than I thought they'd be say 2 months ago.
Yeah, and it's not like anybody was clamoring for Poteet's call up. At least not. I shouldn't say anybody, but they weren't. It's not like he's not even ranked in James Anderson's prospect list. So
and we got okay. It's funny because they sent him down. We would have talked to him last week because he was going to be scheduled for 2 starts. They sent him down, and then Lewis Brinson got hurt, so they brought him back up, and he ended up pitching 2 good starts. So it was one of those that we probably would have talked about him last week, but he was going down, and then he pitched 2 really good games. So I think we just kind of missed the 2-start fun there.
Yeah, I think so too.
Let's talk a few relievers before we get to offense. A guy that I was a little bit in on today was Daniel Hudson, just because he's been really, really good. 17 innings, 1.06 ERA, 22-5 strikeout to walk so far, 10 straight scoreless appearances, and I know they have a pretty good leash. It seems like with Brad Hand, he got a save today, but he's given up 5. He's given up runs in 5 of his last 8 appearances. The stuff doesn't look great. It doesn't look like the velocity's back. Hudson struggled in 2020. He had a couple of blowups that really kind of make your numbers look bad in a short season. Was pretty good in 2019. Velocity's a career high 97, and he's a guy that he's close for them. He closed for them in the playoffs when they won the World Series. They trust him. I don't know. It feels like maybe a couple of Brad Hand's blown saves away from maybe getting a part-time role of the job.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. In fact, I picked him up in Yahoo Friends and Family last week. I think during the middle of one of Hand's blow-ups. And just Hand went through a really rough stretch.
Yeah, he did.
And so, yeah, it's just and Hudson's like kind of the last guy standing. All the other viable guys aren't that viable either. Tanner Rainey's had a terrible season too. So it's by default, it's Hudson. So, and Hudson was once good. So yeah, I get the logic in going after him.
And I mean, you look at Hand, and the thing was always like, oh, he doesn't look it, but he still strikes guys out. And his strikeout rate's down 8% this year. The walk rate's up 5%. Like none of it looks really good. Last year, the velocity took a dip, but he still got guys out. The velocity's actually up a little bit. It's up to a 92.7. It was 91.4 last year, so it is up a little bit this year. But I don't know, it's one of those guys you watch and you just feel super uncomfortable. You just don't feel like he's going to dominate you at all. And it's like every outing seems like he's just dancing through raindrops a little bit.
Yep, I'd say that's right. And so, it's definitely a guy that, I got early shares of Brad Hand after convincing myself the velocity drop last year wasn't a big deal because you looked at the results with Cleveland and how he finished too.
He was really good late.
Yeah, and it's like he adjusted. He made some sort of adjustment. Well, guess what? The league adjusted back on him a little bit, it seems like. He's not going to blow it past you. Okay, well, now we'll look for this instead.
Yeah, I mean, swing strike rate has been over 10% for 5 straight years. It's 8.5% right now. If he feels like a guy that he's a veteran, so maybe he gets a little bit longer of a leash, but it feels like he's a bit on the ropes right now. Maybe a couple of bad outings might finally knock him out of there.
Yep.
JP Fire Eisen, who got traded to the Rays, in typical Rays fashion, like, oh, a new guy, let's have him get the save today. So he got a save today. I looked at him closer. I'm like, I wonder if this is a guy that, the Rays are really smart who they get, but I worry about the walks with him. It's 14.5% in 29 career major league innings, over 10% walk rate his last 3 minor league seasons. The ERA is pretty good. He's got 23 strikeouts in 21 and a third, but 12 walks so far. I don't know. As I look deeper into him, plus the Rays, and probably are never going to have a closer. Diego Castillo got the save yesterday, so maybe they're just giving him a day off. I kind of pulled back all my bids on Fire Eisen deeper league just because I didn't like the walks. I didn't like the team format.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's mostly still Castillo's the guy, and Fairbanks is healthy now, and he got a save. And I think he's just been very busy lately, so that's why they didn't go to him. Again, he's like Jeffrey Springs 2 weeks ago. Yeah, he's got good numbers, but whatever.
Yeah, it's just so Rays. They trade for somebody in the first save up. Like, oh, you got the 9th. Go for it.
Yeah. Hey, you're up. You're healthy. You're that's. But that is. You're right. That is so them. That is exactly how they manage their team, their bullpen. They manage their roster.
Before I jump to some offense, were there any other pitchers that you picked up or pitchers you wanted to talk about in FAAB this week? Because that was kind of we talked about Kaprelian, I think, enough last week and kind of at the beginning here. Is there anybody else that you want to discuss?
Yeah, I did pick up Kaprelian in the Yogurt League. I like his 1 start this week, so going to use him. Herman Marquez, I picked up in a 12. Gets the Mets.
Face the Mets, right? I actually looked at Antonio Senzatella for the same reason, and then I kind of looked away after I looked deeper at him. But I think he's kind of a sneaky 1-start guy too. That anybody facing the Mets right now is a good thing.
I liked more 1-start guys than 2-start guys this week.
That Marquez pickup's nice. I mean, that's a guy with some skills that's going to the Mets, and I'm surprised. He was probably 75%, 80% owned in the 12-teamers before that.
I don't even know.
I think I saw it earlier. I think it was 78%. So that's a nice pickup.
Sounds about right. Yeah. Sounds about right. And again, I'm not going to marry him. It's a 1-week stand.
Yeah. So if he pitches really well, how tempted will you be for the Texas Oakland Coors 2-step the week after?
I'm going to talk myself out of it right now, in front of you.
I'm gonna hold you to that. And we talk next Sunday. You better have dropped him
as live stream as my witness. I am not going to use him in the 2-step. It's a 12er. I shouldn't. I don't need to. Right? Yeah. That's the thought.
I agree. I don't think I'm throwing 2 core starts in a 12er either. I might, if he pitched well this week, I might consider him in a 15, but a 12, I don't think I could do it. I just don't think it's worth the risk.
Yeah, I mean anybody can get got in cores, and any team can do it. So yeah, gonna try to avoid that.
So let's jump into some offensive pickups and FAAB this week. But first, a note from our sponsors. Quick note: if you're on the live stream, that was it. So we'll get that going here. The big name, obviously, Jeff, this week was Taylor Walls. We had a lot of speculation once the Rays traded Willy Adames to the Brewers that they were going to call up Wander Franco. Didn't happen. Call up Taylor Walls, who was hitting well in AAA. Also, they have a lot of prospects. Obviously, they are loaded. But Taylor Walls is really good defensively. If any story you read it, they talk about how good his glove is, and has been hitting in AAA. 327 so far this year, 2 home runs, 2 steals. The thing that interested me was that he is a stolen base guy in the minors. He had 28 stolen bases and 10 home runs in 2019 across A and AA in 96 games. Hit about 275 in that stretch. Stolen bases in FAAB are not easy to find. I mentioned earlier I drafted a lot of good offense. I have a lot of power in my leagues, but stolen bases is kind of my weakest category. I was pretty aggressive where I had a middle infield spot I could use him in to try and grab Walls this week, just because I think that you might get a run of stolen bases. It's the Rays. He's not going to play every day. They're going to do some stuff, and eventually have some guys up. But I think for a while here, he might get regular at bats and maybe steal 5 or 6 bags for you.
He might. He got caught a lot too, though. That's the one thing. And you look at the minor leagues. In 2019, 15 bags, but got caught 9 times.
Yeah.
He is a legit prospect, and I kind of feel bad for him because it's always going to be compared to Wander Franco. I mean, we all want to watch Wander Vision, right?
Course,
I get it. But at the same time, Walls can play. And it's just the preposterous claim, we think he's a better shortstop than Wander Franco. Come on. We know why you're doing this. I know you have to say this, but it's still kind of frustrating. I want to see them both. That's the thing. But then again, they've got the way the Rays roster is built. I mean, there's not a whole lot of room for like 2 guys to get called up at once, hitter wise. They get played on a regular basis,
and they have Vidal Brujan too. So they have 3 guys. They're going to call up at some point. Like he has 7 home runs and 7 steals in the minors already this year in 16 games. Like that's crazy.
I love how they're starting Brett Phillips every day, and they've won 10 in a row. I mean, it's just like
it's so Rays. They just always do stuff. They just always get it done. It's just it doesn't make sense always, but they always get it done.
Yeah, I mean, I do like using those primary relievers, though. I'll say that. You get Fleming didn't pitch great today, but he got the win, which it makes for the pain.
Is that 2 wins for you this week for Fleming?
I think so.
I think it was 2.
Yeah, and McClanahan didn't get the win this week, but he pitched well yesterday, and he did get the win against the Yankees. Or was it against the Yankees? No, it was against the Mets over the weekend. So he's starting to go a little longer.
Yankees haven't given a run in like a week, so it couldn't have been against them.
No, I guess you're right. Good call. Everybody except for Cole didn't pitch shutouts. Seemed like, and then Cole was great yesterday. So
yeah,
it's all good.
It was. I think they had a stretch of all 5 starters not giving up a run for the whole cycle through the rotation, which is. If the Yankees are going to do that, they're going to win a lot of games. The AL East is really fun. We had someone in the chat ask us about it. We think it's going to be NL West versus AL East in the World Series. I mean, you never know in the playoffs, but the Boston, New York, Tampa race right now is pretty fun for early on. And you got the Dodgers, Giants, Padres. I mean, the Dodgers took care of the Giants this weekend, but some fun 3-team races for late in May here.
Yeah, I like how there was the woe is me Dodgers and Padres talk, and all of a sudden those are the 2 top records in baseball again. It's just the Dodgers went into San Francisco and just took care of business. It was
your boy Anthony Desclafani had been really good, and wow, he ran into a wall. Well, he was on the Reds before, so
okay.
He'd been so good, and boy, did he run into the Dodgers brick wall. Even Urias was hitting bombs off, hitting doubles in the gap and stuff.
Yeah, Jason Collette had the good tweet on it. It was panic at the Desclo. It's really true. I mean, he got thumped, but he had those blow up outings for the Reds too. He was cruising, and then Pittsburgh killed him last year, or St. Louis killed him, and then Pittsburgh killed him later after the initial killing. And that's just kind of the volatile pitcher is. I mean, the thing is, there was some offense today. We saw some good numbers today, except for, of course, the White Sox, but they rallied late. But I think it's heating up. We're going to start to see the numbers trickle up a little bit. It doesn't count unless if you're doing the Sunday night hideous baseball game. But besides
that was a weirdly bad, like for a 0-0 game. Usually I like 0 games. That game was weirdly boring and bad.
Yeah. And we even had a manager tossed, and it still didn't liven it up.
No, it really didn't. There was like 9 hits total in that game, and hopefully Wilson Contreras is okay. And I saw he got hit by a pitch late after the FAAB deadline, of course. Because
as a catcher, he didn't get hit while batting. He got crossed up by Kimball.
Oh, did he? Oh, okay, I didn't see that.
Yeah, he was reaching for it and thought there was going to be a slider, and it was a fastball right on his wrist, and direct hit too. And he reacted. If it weren't the end of the game, I don't think he would have stayed in. I think if the game lasted another inning, probably would have taken him out. I don't see how he's going to hit with that. I could be wrong. I'm not a doctor.
I got lots of catchers and good options to pick up at that position. I'm fine.
Of course. I always carry one on my bench, especially when I can't roster like 2 healthy outfielders. My God, Scott, I was just looking at the outfielders in these 15 teamers.
I know we've talked about a lot this year. They're absurdly bad.
Cavalcade of sadness.
Yeah,
I mean, and one of them, I was happy that I won Josh Reddick. I mean, it's just
God, that's really bad.
Andrew Stevenson I picked up.
Did you see the Dieter Rule Oregon welcoming for Josh Reddick this week?
No, what was it?
Dodgers Day. They played "I Saw the Sign" by Ace of Base. I thought it was beautiful.
Oh, that is clever.
Yeah. But in the weirdly Oregon-y, like you had to listen to it for 10 seconds before you figure out what the hell song it was. So it was very sly because it's not obvious in your face. So it was pretty well done. It was pretty well done.
Yeah. The one good outfielder that I think he's good that I was able to pick up in the Maine was Hunter Dozier in one of my 2.
Oh, wow. He was dropped in Maine. That's nice. When's he back?
Well, he was starting his rehab assignment over the weekend. They're off Monday. It's a concussion. So
could be tomorrow, could be August.
I mean, I think it's as long as there wasn't a setback, he's back Tuesday, right?
I would think so. Yeah, that's a nice pickup. He must have been a 95% owned Maine guy, right?
I would think so. Yeah. I didn't see what the ownership was. I just knew that that one worked out for us. We won him 29-13. I don't think people realized he was available.
Wow. I would have, if you had asked me, I would have had you bid way. I would have advised you to bid way higher than that. So that's a nice score.
Well, we had used roughly 55% of our budget, so we had to kind of keep it low too. That was the other thing. And you don't know. And the thing about Dozier that I like is the multi positions too.
He's first, third, and outfield, right?
Correct.
Yeah, that's sweet. And hitting a $139, but mashing the ball, 45% hit rate, hard hit guy, 13% barrels. It's coming, and it's that's a nice hat. I really like that one. In the main event, that I would have thought he would have gone for 60 to 80 somewhere in there. So that's a nice grab.
Yeah, I think
whereas,
so.
Whereas I was fired up to get Gregory Polanco. That's how bad my outfield situation was in my main.
And one of them I picked up Reddick and Phil Gonzalon, and the other Dozier and Stevenson.
That's worse. Oh, yeah, the Dozier one really sticks out as really nice. That's a guy that hit 26 home runs in 2019. That's a guy you could end up starting every week down this, the rest of the way if he's healthy.
Yeah, that's right.
I like that.
We bid on in the other main. Ahmed Rosario was available. He went for 117 though. We weren't even close.
Wow.
And that's shame on us, but I mean, it's just
I wouldn't have paid over 100 for him. So I know he's been running a little bit lately. I think he has 3 steals, and they're all kind of lately. But
and they sent down Jimenez. I get it, but
the guy's hitting 219 with a 1% barrel rate. I mean, it's hard to get really excited about paying over $100 for a guy. I know he's multi-eligible, but
right,
yeah. I wouldn't have paid that much for him, but he does have that. He has that 15-19 season, 20. I think everybody kind of sees that and sees the upside, and obviously the prospect. He was a huge prospect, so maybe, but not what I would have paid.
Yeah.
G-Man Choi. Speaking of, we were talking about the Rays with Taylor Walls. He's back from the IL. Appears to be playing regularly. Of course, the Rays, so you put an asterisk by that, but he's a guy who's hitting the ball really hard too. 54% hard hit rate, 15% barrel in his limited at bats. Struggled in 2020, but you look at 2019, he had 19 home runs on 127 games with a 43% hard hit rate. And this is a guy that in a 15-teamer probably helps you more than he hurts.
Yeah, that's my other pickup. So in the league that I got Reddick and Gonzalon, I also got Choi to replace Peter Alonso and Christian Walker. So I had to have somebody first base eligible, and we missed out on the bidding on Danny Santana. He went for pretty big numbers there. I don't think I saw Santana on that list, but he was definitely a big time bidding object in my leagues. But especially in AL Tout Wars, he went for a ton in AL Tout. Santana went for 424.
How aggressive are you with him? I meant to put him on this list, but I didn't have him on there. I mean, obviously we know that 2020 he was horrible, but 2019 he was a top 30 or 40 hitter. I mean, he was at 28 home runs and 21 stolen bases. I mean, 283. I think going into drafts last year, all of us were pretty cautious on taking him at his ADP, and a lot of people were like, it's hard to pay for him, depending on how good it was. I just wonder how crowded that Boston situation is. They have a lot of guys, and if he hits, sure, he could play. I mean, Marwin Gonzalez has really not done very much. Bobby Dahlbeck is heating up a little bit, but hasn't been great. I mean, if Santana can hit, he probably sticks, but the floor is 0, and the upside's probably real. So I had some bids in on him, but I wasn't as aggressive as most people were. So
he was my top first baseman, but I was bidding 39. So okay. I was 1/3 short. My bid was 1/3 of the winning bid. Choi I had at 38, so I kind of viewed him as very similar. Okay. We won 38-12 on Choi, so okay. Santana's probably got Santana has a higher ceiling.
Just because the stolen bases just makes it that way.
Well, and he's also got a much lower floor because he could be off the roster in a week, whereas Choi's going to be on the roster all season long if he's healthy.
I agree there. Santana was interesting because he had a couple of home runs and everybody's excited, but I mean one game he played for Enrique Hernandez, and because they wanted JD Martinez to play the outfield to get so he's in the lineup. They were in Philly, so there was no DH. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, just look at all this. Santana strikes out so much that batting average floor is literally nothing. I mean, he could hit $170 and nobody's surprised, right?
Yeah. And Cora said something on Saturday after he homered, like, we're going to find a way to get him in the lineup somehow today or tomorrow.
Of course.
But they had a really weird lineup today against
They went full like spring training body maintenance mode today. They sat. It was JD and Bogarts and someone else sat too, and they
Verdugo also.
Yeah. They said they were doing maintenance because they have a day off tomorrow, so they're going to go 2 days off in a row. And Verdugo had a bit of a hamstring tweak and came out early the day before, but it seems like they pretty much just tanked this game today. It was kind of very NBA fashion of them.
Yeah, and Eduardo Rodriguez got into the spirit of things, couldn't even get through 5. So
he's been kind of quietly really bad.
Yeah,
the ERA is. I liked his first couple starts, and the ERA is over 5 now. It's not been good.
No, it hasn't. I don't know what's wrong with him, except he just. And the thing is, like, the one league I have him is AL Tout Wars. I'm stuck with him.
Yeah, you're stuck with him. Would you drop him in a 12 right now?
I'd probably just stash him. because the team is so good.
Yeah.
It's just, you hate to give up on a guy that quickly because he could get you 15 wins in a full season. So
I held him, but he was one of my guys that I was, thinking about if I needed somebody, I would use him, but I held him for now. So Chad Pinder was on my offensive FAAB list in 15 teamers, playing most days ever from the A's. Are kind of moving him around. They're playing him at shortstop for letting Elvis Andrus not play as much, playing him at second base, playing him in the outfield a little bit. He played left field today, I think, or shortstop and then left field. He moved around. Second and third base eligibility in NFBC leagues. Smoking the ball, Jeff, believe it or not, he's only had 39 plate appearances, so small sample, but 76% hard hit rate and 19% barrel rate so far. So it's hitting the ball really well. Obviously, it's a very, very small sample, but only played 24 games in 2020. But look at 2019, 13 home runs, 47 RBIs, and a 370 plate appearance. The guy that we know has some pop, 42% hard hit rate, never been under that in his career. I don't know. In a deeper league, I think I like the middle corner eligibility. I think he's a usable part.
Yeah, I mean, the hard hit rate's kind of his MO. That's what he does when healthy. He's going to strike out a lot. You know that. So batting average is always the risk. But, he's back and he's cut into Piscotti, and they both hit from the same side of the plate. So guess what? They have to make that tough call.
And when there's a righty out there, they're hitting Seth Brown also, and sometimes hitting him second, and Pinder's playing instead of Piscotti. It's not the best back half of the lineup, but it's a pretty deep one. They have a lot of options, and Piscotti's definitely got lost in the mix. Hasn't been good, and I think Pinder's a better hitter right now anyway. Yeah,
I mean, I think RAs are really kind of setting themselves up nicely there. If they ever get Chapman going, if they ever get some of these other parts going, Sean Murphy hasn't really completely hit his stride. Look out.
Yeah, and I want to talk about Chapman at the end, so don't let me forget about that. But
okay.
Last offensive guy I want to ask you about, Brendan Rodgers is someone we've talked about for multiple years. This huge prospect coming up. He mashed in AAA in 2019. I think he hit like 350 with 9 home runs in 37 games, but always hurt. It seems like there's always something, and it's a shame. How he's up now. I think he played 2 of the 3 games this weekend. He was a 17-12 guy in 95 games in 2018 in the minors. Were you aggressive with Rodgers? Do you trust the Rockies here? I know we don't trust the Rockies ever, but how do you feel the playing time works? I mean, he's been playing second, and they moved Ryan McMahon over to third. Obviously, McMahon and TJ Crone have to play, so kind of there's limited spots and there's no DH. Where are you on Rodgers right now? Do you think this is his time finally?
I think so. We saw like the Nick Grokey, I think I want to say is how you pronounce his name, the writer for The Athletic.
That's right, yeah.
Saying like, hey, they're grooming him. It's looking more and more likely that Story's gone, right? However, he didn't start today. Rodgers, not Grokey. Yeah. But Rodgers didn't start after a 2-hit game the day before.
Yep.
So Rockies. It's just,
It's just like the problem is you've got Josh Fuentes, who's kind of hot last week and hitting a little bit, so they probably didn't want to sit him multiple days in a row. And you've got McMahon, Crone, and Story. It's just there's not a lot of spots, and Garrett Hampson's been playing too. It's just I just don't know. He's got to hit. They got to just play him. I mean, you want to just do it. I mean, the Rockies aren't going anywhere. They got 3 teams in their division who are vastly superior to them, but I don't know. I still just don't trust them.
Nor should you. I mean, it's exactly the script that they followed after FAAB-O-Palooza. Rodgers was part of that in 2019.
That's right. Yeah.
And they found ways to keep him out. Now, McMahon's got to play. Crone's got to play.
Yep.
So it comes down to Fuentes, or find a way to give Story a day off. There was no Hampson or Rodgers in the lineup today against Taylor Widener. And you're like, oh, come on. It's a Coors Field start. Let's let him play. But, Daza's in there a little bit. Tapia doesn't, Tapia's, they're never going to get rid of him. So, you can see the math is hard for it to add up here for him to play on a regular basis.
It's just tough as an infielder because they have 3 of those infield spots that are pretty much set every day. I mean, he could sit McMahon or Crone once a week, but they're going to play most of the time, like you said. So then, like you said, you got your Fuentes and Rodgers at that third base or second base spot, depending on where McMahon plays. It just doesn't really work very well.
No, it doesn't.
They should commit to it and just do it and get him every day at bats, but like we said, Rockies are going to Rocky.
Yeah.
So let's jump into some news and notes. We have a lot of injuries that were over the weekend. First thing I want to mention, though, JD Martinez, if you play in any league where 10 games is the eligibility, he's now officially an outfielder. That was very nice to move him from DH to the outfield in 3 of my leagues and be able to play some corners or middles, where I'm deeper, and outfield's been tough. So that was it's kind of a big deal. He got his 9th and 10th games over the weekend. Moving him out of there and freeing that up is pretty nice.
Yeah, I was a little surprised it happened that quickly. But the thing is, so many outfielders have gotten hurt. I mean, the entire Mets outfield, for instance, is hurt right now. It's just we were just talking to how sad it is trying to find good outfielders on the waiver wire. Well, you just found one, then that allows you to roster Brendan Rodgers a lot easier.
Yeah, because suddenly you could play him at utility it's amazing that my backup corner, my backup middle, many leagues is better than my fifth outfielder. So it's a nice swap.
Yeah.
Franmil Reyes, you mentioned earlier, out 5 to 7 weeks. A very weirdly odd. They used odd numbers there, but out with oblique injury in a 12 and a 15. I guess answer for both. Is he a drop in both of those? One of those? How do you feel about that in a 5 to 7 week timeline right now?
I probably wouldn't, just because he was so good, but as we've seen, it really is tough to stash these guys. But you're not cutting Michael Conforto when he gets hurt. You're probably not cutting Franmil Reyes.
I think I'm cutting him in a 12 at 7 weeks.
Are you?
We're looking at we're May 23rd, so that takes me to what, All-Star break?
Yeah,
that's really tough. 15, no way. 12, he's right on the fence. Probably depend on other injured guys on my roster, but he'd be right on the fence for me.
Yeah, I get it.
It's tough. It's a tough one.
Yeah, I get it, because one setback in Kablooey, and that's a tough part.
An oblique with a guy who swings off his butt as it is, like swings really hard. He's got a big swing. It sucks. I hate when good players get hurt.
Yeah, I do too. And the thing is, I think at a 12, it's easier to find a cut. To be honest with you, though, you cut somebody from your active lineup if you need to.
Yeah, I guess that's fair. I suppose. I was going to make a joke about not good injured players getting hurt, but he's on the IL, so I'm not going to do it. But Victor Robles went on the IL with an ankle injury. Sounds like he has a chance to be back in the minimum. He was dropped in my yogurt league, actually. I was surprised by that.
I am too. He was starting to run. Now, granted, it was an ankle injury, and it was weird. He was rounding first and just somehow got caught. The cleat got caught or something there. But he's walking more this year. He still isn't hitting for any power. The StatCast numbers still suck with him, but
they do suck. Yeah. They're a little bit better, but they still suck. They're a good amount better. He's 10% higher hard hit rate. Is still not good. But he is better. And the strikeouts are down. He just, for a guy who never hits the ball hard, he struck out way too much. And there are definitely some improvements. The walks are up, like you mentioned. He was running a little bit. He's a better hitter than he was last year. I will definitely give him that. Yeah,
but now you're doing without. That's why I picked up Stevenson, just as I needed to fill in for this week.
Yeah,
just a mister right now. That's all.
Hey, when you come in outfield, that at bats is kind of king right now. Kenta Maeda, 10-day IL with a right adductor strain. He was having some groin issues. You could tell in his last start he was scratching a bunch, and then it's just not look good. So I'm gonna give him some time off. He's probably the guy that I'm, in that top 3 rounds, I'm actually legit worried about, because everything's been bad this year. And a lot's been different too. Like his splitter, the whiff rate's cut in half. It's when you look now, that 2020 small sample K rate really sticks out like a sore thumb as a huge outlier.
Yeah, it does. It really does. Now, how long has he been pitching with this? Do you think
that was my question for you? Is do you think this is something that's been lingering for 4 or 5 weeks or something?
In a way, I kind of hope so.
Yeah,
because then that would explain everything a little bit.
It would,
because although he was also the poster child for right off 2020, perfect schedule, everything went right. He's never achieved those heights with the ratios. And that's what makes you think that, okay, he was going to come down anyhow. It's just, he overcorrected.
Yeah. Kevin Biggio, we mentioned the Jays earlier. He's on the 10-day IL with a cervical spine ligament strain. Jeff, that doesn't sound fun.
That sounds really horrible.
It does. I honestly, I shouldn't. I don't know how horrible it is, and I don't know how serious it is, but that doesn't sound very fun at all. That sounds like a very complicated, painful injury.
And it sounds like he's been playing through this for a long time.
Yeah.
And I know so everybody loves Randy Dobnak on Twitter. Everybody hates Kevin Biggio on Twitter. They love to dunk on him.
Yeah, because his home runs aren't hit hard enough, and there's been all that stuff, but I don't know. I still like him as a player. It's been rough so far.
You hate him as a person, but you like him as a player.
I like him. I like him.
Very
as a person
cruel,
too.
Scott, but yes. That's okay.
I've already mentioned people I don't like personally on the podcast, so
that's also true.
I like Kevin Biggio.
I won't mislabel you.
Speaking of people that I do really like, Nelson Cruz, Mitch's 4th straight game on Sunday with a bruised wrist. I played him all weekend too. I kind of figured that first game, and then he wasn't in the lineup. I'm like, oh, he'll be fine. I'm I'm a little bit worried about this. 4 games is kind of a lot.
It is. It is.
And you get to the point now where if it's going to be another couple, do they put them on the IL and just kind of take that out of the way too?
Yeah, let's see. And they play on Monday. They play Baltimore too. Oh, but it's Means.
It's a lefty though. I like that even though it's Means. At least he plays Monday. At least we get to see a lineup. They play Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. If he doesn't play Monday, you probably got to sit him because that's 2 games max, right? And then you're looking at max. It could be even less.
Yeah, it's probably right.
Which means he homers 3 times on Tuesday.
Yeah, and the thing is, if he hangs on to the end of the week, he gets Bubic and Lynch, so 2 other lefties. So Nelson Cruz versus lefty equals big fun.
Yeah, let's hope he's okay and able to play this weekend. Jacob Degrom expected to pitch Tuesday. Jeff, are you using Jacob Degrom this week?
No, I'm not because I don't have him anywhere, Scott.
2 starts this week. I think if you're obviously starting that, I'm obviously joking when I say that. 2 home starts. I just hope he's okay. I think that baseball is better when DeGrom is pitching well. That was a fun seeing him play in AAA. He had 3 innings, 8 strikeouts. How good would you feel if you're the one guy that made contact though?
I don't think it was AAA. It was like high A or something like that.
No, yeah, it was single A. It was definitely some sort of single A. But if you're the one guy that made contact though, like how good are you feeling in the locker room post game?
Yeah, he probably got a little extra love. He was hitting 102 in that start.
Yeah. I like that he not only bought lunch for the whole team, but had dinner brought into the clubhouse also, which I thought was pretty cool. Yeah.
Yep.
Manny Machado and Trent Grisham missed Saturday and Sunday, but the Padres kept winning. Machado has a tight shoulder. Grisham has a bruised heel. 2 guys are going to have to check lineups tomorrow. I'm looking at the Padres. They do play tomorrow. They're at Milwaukee, so that at least we'll get some news on that. But 2 guys that you certainly want in your lineup if they're playing.
Yeah, and at least like a central time zone game too. So a little bit, we'll be able to buy. At least we'll know like before we have to make like late West Coast decisions or anything like that.
Someone who's not playing tomorrow is probably good for him resting, but we're not going to know is Mookie Betts. Late scratch Sunday with a sore shoulder, so missed the whole weekend. He was out Saturday. Then I think he was in the lineup Sunday. And they scratched him late. It seems like it's not a big deal, but when it's Mookie Betts, your first round pick, you're always not pleased about that.
And this is like the 3rd time like he's gotten hurt right before roster decision time, and both times before he sat.
Yeah. You're just waiting for it to come. Like he's hitting 260, 5 home runs, 5 steals. I mean, it's still been good, but you're just waiting for that explosion, and you just it's coming at some point. But you sure want it when you draft him in the top 5 overall.
Right. And by the way, I'm not implying that Mookie Betts is not a gamer or anything like that. It's more this is the Dodgers way that when they realize it's a long season.
Yeah. And
if there's any doubt,
even when they're losing, they're not panicking at all, which is it's a good thing. I mean, they know that
they know a smart team.
Yeah, they know that they're going to be good in the end, and that they need Mookie and for that late stretch too. Dylan Carlson missed the weekend with a tight back. He did not play tonight either, so that's a little worrisome. Another guy you have to just check lineups for. There's a lot of guys that are questionable coming into next week. That, like I said, if you can still pick guys up, just make sure you have options. What I did with Carlson, I just made sure I have a backup there, and hopefully I can play him. But we'll see what happens on Monday.
Almost every day-to-day decision this weekend went towards the negative. I mean,
it did. There was a lot of guys that were like, "Oh, you can play tomorrow," and then they sat Saturday and Sunday.
Yep.
Kendall Graveman is on the IL without a designation. They said late today it is a COVID designation, but we don't know that he tested positive or was tracing or something else like that. But it sounds like we have no timetable on Graveman, which is never a good time.
Yeah, well, Seattle had like 4 relievers go on the COVID list earlier in the week, so
yeah, it sounds like on Seattle. Sounds like they were worried because they were one of the lower vaccinated teams, so they're worried that there might be some spread of it in the clubhouse.
Yeah, because Will Vest, Drew Steckenrider are on that list already, and a couple of guys came off of it. So Miskowicz and Middleton, I think, came back from it already. So that's good. So hopefully it's that sort of time frame and not the tested positive frame. So we'll see. You're right though. That is, and the thing is, you only find out about like the vaccination percentage after a breakout happens.
Yeah. There was a time where I was sure Drew Steckenrider was going to be the future closer of the Marlins.
Yeah, everybody else.
That didn't work out very well. Noah Syndergaard moving to AAA this week after he pitched 4. I was kind of surprised he pitched 4 innings on Wednesday in A-ball. Pitched really well. I think he had 6 strikeouts or something like that. Was hitting 93 to 95. Moving to AAA this week. Maybe we see him in the majors in maybe 2 or 3 more rehab outings, something like that.
Yeah, that would be fun. I hope so. and the Mets certainly hope so too. But when they get Peterson's probably out once Thor comes back, but you look at it there. I mean, Peterson's got a good 2-start week this week. It's sneaky, kind of interesting.
I picked him up in a couple of spots too, just looking for wins. I like the first start, but the second one's against Atlanta scares me a bunch.
Oh yeah, especially as Atlanta's heating up. I know we're going to talk about that later too.
I would think that he would stick over Yamamoto and maybe Lucchesi, right?
Yeah, but they got Taijuan Walker coming back at some point.
That's right. And Carlos Carrasco might pitch at some point, but we don't know that for sure.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Hasn't thrown off a mound yet. That was a weird update that he still hasn't thrown off a mound. This has been the longest. Was it hamstring? Longest hamstring injury ever.
Well, they said it was like a full-on tear.
Yeah, I guess that doesn't sound fun either.
No. And I know at one point there, when it happened, they said it was going to be 2 months, and then
there was a time in April when we were like, "Oh, it's good. He's a couple of weeks away."
Right.
And then he wasn't. It was just. It's been very weirdly. It's been very Mets.
And Liss's main event league, he was dropped, and then someone bid like 300 to get him back. So, or maybe not to get him back, but to get him. Right. So big bidding war on that. So they just have to wait a little bit longer.
Couple other late quickness where we get some players here. Cody Bellinger could return next weekend, so good news there. That's been a long injury too. I mean, weird. He got spiked and had the hairline fracture. It seemed like it's been a long time recovering there. And then Tony Gonzalon, who I think both you and I are waiting for, made his first rehab start today. I think he threw 2 innings, if I saw that right. So we're probably looking at another couple of weeks on him, and maybe a little bit longer than we originally thought.
Yeah. Well, I'm not waiting for him. I dropped him and Vlad swooped in and picked him up, so he can take his time coming back now.
You want me to go ahead? A lot of rehab outings then.
Yeah, Vlad doesn't need another free agent pickup to throw a no-hitter. So we got to give Vlad a little love. Our friend Vlad Sedler, he's winning my main league right now. I'm in second in that, and he just had this insane week, just crazy good week. He
had Turnbull and whoever else threw the other no-hitter.
Corey Kluber,
that's right. He had both of them, and. Yeah, that was a good week. It's gonna be a good battle. You guys have first and second. It could be a fun league, especially late in the year.
It's not a battle anymore. We were tied last week, and now he's 20 points ahead of me.
You can make that back up in a week.
Yeah,
a week or two.
No problem.
Let's talk about a few players before we get out of here. Austin Reilly, you mentioned the Braves scoring runs, on fire right now. Homered twice on Sunday, now has 9 home runs, hitting 320, 27 runs, 21 RBIs. A lot of loud contacts. He's a 45% hard hit guy before he went yard twice today, 11% barrel before that. The K rate is up a little bit from last year. He's at 27%, but down from the 2019 worry that we had at 36%. So he's clearly off that number, which is good. The BABIP's 421, so I think it's pretty clear the batting average is not going to stick there. But how do you feel about Austin Reilly? Are we finally seeing what we thought we were going to get in 2019?
I think he's just a feast or famine guy.
Yeah,
I mean, it's still pretty high.
You think we're gonna have some hot and cold streaks here? I
do. I mean, the K rate is down, but it's still high. I mean, it's still a pretty high rate. I mean, it's just we've been conditioned to see so many other high rates that we're like, 28% is not that bad.
Funny how that happened, isn't it?
Yeah. I like though that he's starting to go higher in the lineup. Yeah. I think that's something that the Braves are jumping on that because he's got 16 games against righties where he's batted 7th. I think he was 5th today though, and you like that. It also helps to face Pirates pitching. My God, the Pirates, they leave their starters in.
That Tyler Anderson the Tyler Anderson out was painful. Like, you guys been good all year. You just leave him out to the dry. It was brutal.
Yeah,
and Brubaker, they same thing. He's been really good, and they just left him out there. Yeah.
I have Brubaker in one of my 2 main event leagues, and it's just like, cue the Rocky gift, throw the damn towel.
He weirdly had good strikeouts and good whip at least.
Yeah, in both cases, Anderson and Brubaker both had Ks. Yeah, but just wow. And then somehow in the Anderson start, it got worse afterward. He gave up 9 times, and
they scored 19, right?
20 to 1.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're right about Reilly. He did hit 5th today. If he's going to hit 5th, you go Cunha, Freeman, Ozuna, Albies, Reilly, Swanson. That's talk about a prime lineup spot to drive some runs in. Whew.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a good lineup right there. Talking about the Dodgers, we talked about Bellinger and Gonzalon. Where are you on Gavin Lux right now? He's finally warming up a little bit, has 3 home runs maybe in the last 10 days or so. Celebrated his first home run like he was the greatest hitter of all time. I thought that was pretty funny. Didn't hit a home run for 6 weeks and celebrates the first one, but hit 262, 14 runs, 22 RBIs, playing a really good shortstop for Corey Seager. He's better defensively than Corey Seager is. It's pretty clear that that's the case. He's dual eligible now. Hard hit rate's not great. He's like 35%, 3.2% barrel rate. Kind of surprised me. He's one of those guys you watch him and like he has the world's like sweetest swing and like everything looks good. Where are you on Lux right now? Kind of going forward the rest of this year. Do you think we're seeing like he's going to finally kind of break out? Do you think he's kind of who he is right now? What do you feel about Lux?
Strikes me as the hitter equivalent of Dustin May. He's got everything there. Just the results haven't come yet. Yeah, I'm in. I'm definitely in. Give me if I want more of them. I only have them in a couple of leagues.
96% sprint speed. I didn't know he's quite that fast. He stole 27 in the bags in the minors once. I wonder if he could run a little more. I think he could. Maybe just doesn't hit in the right spot in the Dodgers lineup to do that. But I was surprised how fast he is.
Yeah, Dodgers fans should prepare themselves that Corey Seager might walk because Lux can play shortstop. And
Seager's not a good shortstop anymore. I don't know if he was originally, and the arm stuff is just kind of caught up. But he struggled defensively this year in shortstop for sure.
Maybe they could flip-flop positions.
That's what I was thinking too. But then you guys, I guess you just go Muncy back to first base, but then you gotta start Albert Pujols every day, right?
Oh, for sure, clearly. They do.
Of course, he homered the second game. It's just it's also bad.
And had like an RBI the first and all that. Dodgers also have a pretty good second base prospect in Michael Busch too. And they have long term. They've got another good shortstop prospect in Wilman Diaz. I mean, they're a development machine too. So
good. Yeah. I mean, they can get free agents, they can get guys to stay, and they're developing well. That's just it's a powerful combo.
Yeah. Michael Busch has got 898 OPS at AA Tulsa. Yeah. It's not as a 23-year-old at AA. Okay. That's, I mean, he could be better. I don't think he's very fast at all. I think that's the difference. Busch is not really going to be like a big time prospect, but he's a prospect. That's someone that's kind of interesting too.
I got another guy. Someone that pitched badly today. We talked about some good starts today, but Patrick Corbin was poor again today. 5 2/3, 11 hits, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts. Are you in on sticking with him? Are you dropping him in a 12 or 15 team, or where are you on Corbin right now? Because you look at his stat catch page, it's not good.
I'm kicking back, having my popcorn, and watching to see if anybody is going to cut him because I don't have him. What I find interesting with him is the fastball velocity is actually up to the 2018, 2019 levels, 91.2, but the slider is 2.5 miles an hour slower than it was in those really good years. And I don't know what's going on there if he's throwing a different slider, but it's clearly not as effective. I mean, the whiff rate it was 36%. It's still pretty good, but it's 51% in 2019. The pitch was unhittable. He got so many swings and misses in 2019. I mean, you look at his StatCast page. You got XWOBA, XSlug, XBA, and XERA are all bottom 10th percentile. It's rough right now. Yeah, it is. I mean, I don't wish ill upon him, but I also don't wish I don't wish for him to get his past form either, because that means somebody else was benefiting. It's a zero-sum game. I don't have him. So therefore, I'm not rooting for him to get it back. But if someone drops him, I'm probably not in on the bidding too aggressively. How about that?
I think it's a good answer, and that's kind of what I was looking for. I'll have to look see if anybody dropped him in my leagues this week. But in a 15, I think I'd probably have to bid. A 12, I'm not sure I even would.
Yeah, now I'm going to look up his ownership in the Nfbc, because that's one of the things they do have that tool that's available. It's pretty darn awesome. So in the main. He is. It's Corbin Woods. He's still 100% rostered in the main. I don't know if that includes tonight's FAAB run or not, but
it still does, because there's some injured guys who are still 100%, so it still does. He was 94% in the online.
Yeah, and I bet that starts to drop though if he has another one. I mean, just gave up 11 hits today.
Yeah, I mean, 11 hits, and his hard hit rate's over 40% the last 2 years. It's rough. I think as coming in, I kind of liked him as a 2020, that's a blip, and let's see what we got here. But it's hard to find too much to grab onto right now. Yeah, it really is. I take it back. Those might actually be updated, because Franmil Reyes is only 98% now, and he was obviously 100% before this week. He was dropped in one of my 12 teamers. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Think about that. Let's see. Zach Wheeler flipping on a guy that pitched really well today. 7 innings, 1 earned runs, 12 strikeouts. He looks like a different guy right now. K rate's 28%. He's maintained his walk drop. Like his walk rate dropped to 5.5 last year. Is right about there this year. Hard hit rate's good. Barrel rate's good. Throwing about 9% more sliders. A good pitch from 33% whiff rate there. 170 batting average against. Velocity's a career high 97.2. The velocity on the sliders up 1.5 miles from last year. It's hard to find much wrong with Zach Wheeler. He seems like a full breakout value guy right now.
He sure does. And I don't have a whole lot of them.
I don't either. I had a whole lot last year and I liked him. I just kind of missed this year. I don't know why.
I thought there was like something at the beginning, like at the end of spring training, but now I'm going back through our old notes to see what.
I remember last year he had I think his girlfriend or wife was giving birth and he was thinking about opting out, but I don't remember anything this year.
It was the fingernail that he had to have surgery in October to repair the fingernail. And that was the only thing that was kind of scary, but yeah, he looks great. Yes, we talked about how Boston trotted out their Sunday lineup against him today. Yeah, that certainly really helped.
Did. Yeah.
But I mean, you got to take advantage of those matchups when they're presented too, and not every starter can do that. So
it's just wild how he didn't strike anybody out last year, and all of a sudden he's striking everybody out.
Yep. Gets at Tampa Bay for his next start, and then home against Washington. So those are his next two middle of the road opponents.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. What's up with your boy Jesse Winker? He's your boy. He's still in the Reds. Seems like that homers every freaking at bat.
He's a very good human being. We like Jesse Winker. I think that
13 home runs. I love Jesse Winker. I had him in leagues for years, but I don't know if I saw him being a 35 to 40 home run type guy. Do you see this as a real legit 35 home run type guy?
I think it's a great American ballpark 30 to 40 home run guy.
They all count. They all count.
They do at that. I think that one of the things I like is he gets to hit lefties now. Now I don't think he's going to always hit them well, and to that extent, it's 708 OPS against lefties, 1197 against righties. Did get a homer against a lefty, so he's got one now. And he homered out against Freddie Peralta, which is not easy to do. Only giving up 4 homers coming into today. He and Castellanos have been amazing. Everybody else, not so much.
That Freddie Peralta start was probably the most frustrating start of the season.
Oh, I can find more, but yeah,
but in terms of he's up 5-1, and then he was
a quick hook.
He had 100 pitches, so I was like, this is probably his last batter. He threw a 3-2 slider with 100 pitches. Just throw a fastball. You're throwing 90, whatever it is, 95, and whoever, I forget who, I think it was Tyler Stevenson hitting. And he fouled off 2 fastballs and had no chance. They were both really late. He clearly was overpowering with the fastball. And there was a slider on 3-2 to walk him and get yanked from the game. That drove me crazy.
Yeah, and then they brought in Boxberger, and he got Suarez to strike out.
He got the freaking win. He got the freaking win for that.
Yep, official scoring rules, man. That's the way the game is played.
I do know that. It was so funny because I flipped it on I had the grid channel on. I saw what was going on, so I flipped it on, and that was painful. And once I went to 3-2, I was like, he's gonna walk him and get yanked. It was and that was the Castillo game too, so I was already hating that game anyway.
You're already tilting, and then you texted me like, I hate baseball, blah blah
pretty much.
blah.
Yeah, it was not a good morning.
The golf. Yeah.
It was pretty much, I admit that. It was not a good morning for me in baseball. The grid channel next to him was Zach Plesac giving up moonshots everywhere too. So it was not the best morning of baseball. Luckily the golf was pretty good, so it was a good break from that.
Zach Plesac's just not missing bats right now.
He's not.
He shut down. He went, first 9 up, 9 down, and then he didn't get out of the 4th. Crazy.
Yeah, I was like, he's up 3-0, kind of cruising, and I think it was Kepler hit a 3-run homer, and it just he just couldn't get out of the inning. It was brutal.
Yeah.
But you're right. I mean, that we talked about Maeda with the K rate that sticks out in 2020. Zach Plesac sticks out just as much, 18.5 to 27, back to 17. I mean, it's not great.
Yeah.
And I only took him in the one league because he just kind of lasted forever. And I remember making the pick, and someone in the chat said, "Oh, look at Jenstad getting gifts in our league," and I just knew I was in trouble right then.
What a bargain!
What a bargain! It never works. Yeah. Last guy I want to talk about. I want to talk about Matt Chapman a little bit. Obviously, close and dear to my heart. Best defensive third baseman in the league, in my opinion. Him and Arenado. So yeah, we'll go with both of them. But I'm worried about Chapman's offense right now, and I'm actually legit worried about it. Not like the first 2 months of the season, like slumping worried about it. He's hitting .210 right now. The thing that worries me is you look at his strikeout rate. He was a rookie in 2017, 28%. then 24% in 2018. Then he had the big 2019 at 36 home runs, drove in 91 runs, scored 102 runs, he only hit 250, but 22% strikeout rate. It was like making little steps every year, kind of improving strikeout rate. Last year jumped to 35.5%. Like, what the hell's going on? But then we found out he was injured. There was a lot of stuff going on. He had the hip injury. He couldn't swing. He's at 33% right now, Jeff, and I'm actually worried. I mean, he's walking a lot too, but I'm worried about how much he's striking out. I mean, he's got a 300 BABIP right now, so it's not like he's getting really unlucky. He's hitting 210 with a 300 BABIP. I watch all of his at bats. Hard hit rates down from his lowest is in the last 4 years. I watch his at bats, and he just does not look. He doesn't look aggressive. He doesn't look comfortable, and I don't know what it is. I don't know if he's not feeling well, but then he goes out in the field and dives and makes plays. But this is someone that I think is going to be okay, but I'm not as sure as I used to be.
Yeah, sometimes you wait 2 years after a major surgery.
Could be.
I kind of feel like that is probably the prudent thing with Chapman. I have a couple of places where I have him, and the thing is, you can't drop him, you can't bench him really. That's the tough part. You invested a lot of draft capital. You're not going to. I mean, that shouldn't matter too much, but let's face it, you're not going to find a ready replacement for him either. Maybe in a 10-teamer, you could. In a 12 or 15, you're probably not. You're probably stuck with him.
36 home runs in 2019, and still it's the ball hard, but I don't know. It just seems like he's a little bit of a different hitter. And the injury thing, you might be right. I mean, he obviously had a serious injury last year, and maybe the swing strike rate's at 12.5%. He was under 10% in 2019. He's just nothing about him looks the same as it did in 2018 and 2019 right now.
Yep. And they're playing 10 more games before they get another day off. So that's the thing. He's just, I think that when you're recovering like this, rest and rehab is so important. Sleep schedules matter, all that sort of stuff. I think, look how many hitters are already going down anyhow. And it's just guys coming back. It's a special burden, I think.
They face a lefty tomorrow in Yusei Kikuchi. I think I'd give him Tuesday or Wednesday off. I think I'd let him sit against one of the righties and just kind of let Pinder play third or let someone else play third for a day. I think he might need a mental day off.
Yeah, Gilbert and Flexen are the two righties. I mean, that seems ideal.
I don't want to miss any of those either. But I mean, I feel like he might need a day, and I think probably the lefty tomorrow. You probably don't give him the day yet, but I think he needs one.
Yeah, well, put Pinder at third for a game.
Yeah, I'm all for that. Anybody else you want to talk about? Anything else baseball player wise that's on your mind or otherwise?
I just want to mention, I got 12. I had 12 Nfbc universe pickups, 12 different players. It's just scramble time. Miguel Sano was available in one of my leagues, so I went to the mattress for him.
Did you get him?
I did. How much
did you pay?
70. Well, it wasn't. It's a 12er, so
okay.
My definition of going to the mattresses for someone is definitely different. But this is a league where I had like 3 dead spots too, so I had to be aggressive. And I think it's a good bid without being crazy about it. Yeah, I'll tell you exactly what I bid in a second. I bid 73, and second place was 15.
Yeah, Danny Santana went for 80 in my online. So
Tyler Naquin in the same league went for 122.
Did you have anybody really big in any of your main events? Anybody really that was expensive? I had one over $100. I had Dane Dunning went for 125. He's available in one of mine. I was in on him, but not. He's been really good, but not at that price. Danny Santana went for 113 and 86 respectively. Ahmed Rosario 117. Yeah. Carson Kelly was available in one of them, and he went for 114. I did know he was available in that league because I talked to people that are in your league. Talk to people, huh? Yeah. Who he went for 114? You said? Yeah, second place 103. I mean, catcher's so bad. I was surprised he was dropped in that league just because when he got hurt, they pretty much said he was going to miss the minimum. But sometimes you just roster wise, you just can't hold on to somebody. But there aren't many catchers that hit, and he's certainly been one of them at least to start the year. I was kind of figuring that was going to be some aggressive bidding. Yeah, I couldn't be aggressive because my 2 catchers there. I mean, it's not like I'm killing the world, but I do have Buster Posey and Yan Gomes. Wait. So you are killing the world then? Yeah, I know, but Yan Gomes is perfectly solid. Yeah, I no need to go knock myself silly for going for Carson Kelly in that league. You're not bidding $100 on a catcher when you have those 2 guys right now, right? Especially when I'm trying to replace Alonso, Biggio, maybe Grisham, maybe not. We'll see. I have so many other places to fill, and you have the National League MVP at catcher. So what are you going to do? I guess so. He's been awesome. He has been awesome. Was he a target for you, or just kind of he was there, you took him kind of guy? More the latter. It was more of a target for Shu than me, too. You're supposed to say big target. You're supposed to lie. No, and in fact, it was
Shu was the one that was like, you should take him. And I think I wanted to take Gomes first. And, we waited and still got Gomes. So Shu was right.
Posey's hitting 355.
He's good. He's good. He's healthy. There's another example of the, give a guy some rest and some good things happen sometimes.
You want an example for rest, a year off. I mean, suddenly the guy had no power. The power was gone, and he went 12 home runs in 119 games, 2019. He has 9 already this year. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, and the thing is, though, remember every year he was banged up behind the plate.
He's a catcher. Like, you just by the middle of the summer, you're banged up. But I thought the average might pop back, but I did not see the power.
No, I didn't see this at all. Obviously, I just look at my projection for him. I didn't see it coming.
I didn't see the power coming at all. I mean, he wasn't hitting the ball hard, and he's smoking. I mean, that's legit. He's a 49% hard hit rate guy down, 11.5% barrel. Like, he's actually hitting the ball really hard.
Yeah, he is.
It's it's fun though. I mean, guys like that come out of nowhere. It's like almost like a 50-year-old guy winning a golf tournament. What do you know?
Yeah, good way to finish up.
Thank you. So anything else you had on your mind? Anything else you want to talk about before we get out of here?
It was a fun sports day. Baseball results aside, I mean, we had that. We had the Premier League finishing up today. A lot of good, interesting results there. Just a good sports day.
NBA playoffs were great today too. I tweeted something about the Knicks, like MSG with fans in a playoff game is just like a special great venue. It's just like that game. I don't even care about the Knicks. I don't care about the Hawks, but that game was just so fun because that crowd was just bonkers. I mean, I haven't been in a playoff game in 8 years, and it's just something about a New York event like that. Sometimes Madison Square Garden's a special place. It was really fun to watch. Yeah,
it was. I mean, it was a long sports day. If you like Formula One, Monaco was today. It was not a good race, but
can you give me 10 seconds on why that guy with the Ferrari guy didn't race?
There was a gearbox problem. They tried. He won the pole, but they chose not to replace it. He would have had to. You repair it or replace it. If you replace it, you had to go back 5 spots. They wanted to keep the pole. They couldn't repair it in time.
Oh, that's brutal.
Yeah, that's my understanding of it.
Okay,
my understanding of F1 is it all stems from the Netflix series, of course. But
I saw a few stories about it, and I think that actually makes sense because that's kind of, I didn't fully get it, but now that makes sense.
Because track positions everything in Monaco. You can't pass. There were no passes on the track except for like these super slow cars. There was no competitive passes. The entire race. It was the worst race ever. It was very boring.
I love the Netflix series, but every time they go to Monaco, it seems like it's the most boring race ever.
Yeah, and I think the announcers called it a parade lap race. It's like the final stage of the Tour de France, basically. There's just nothing significant happens.
Gotcha. All right, now that we've hit every other sport possible, that's pretty good. We got about 12 sports in there in the last 45 seconds. But thanks for everybody for listening to the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast, sponsored by WynnBET. That's WYNN Bet. We do appreciate them for the sponsorship. Again, if you could please rate or read the podcast, it'd be great. If you want to follow Jeff, his name is on the screen. If you happen to be listening in the audio version, it's Jeff_Erickson. I am at Scott Jenstad. Other than that, we'll be back at you next Sunday night talking more baseball. I hope everybody has a great week and take care.